just wonder. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
what do you need
Some
to
people
know?
are just given like packets of homework.
Wow, that's crazy.
But they have to teach themselves, which really stinks.
It's
Yeah.
hard when parents weren't planning on homeschooling, and now all of a sudden,
No.
Yeah.
like,
That was
oh,
so
we have a
cool.
different choice for you today.
Hi.
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 Hello. Did you move?
Yes, I did. I'm by my iMac over here.
Okay.
Yeah. It's there.
Okay.
Mom,
Okay, yes, baby.
come to chocolate.
Okay, I will be right back. My 3-year-old just cleaned my fridge, and she needs to show me that she cleaned my fridge, okay? So I need to acknowledge this right now. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Is it all clean on the outside?
So all of the work was sent to Miss Erin the past 2 weeks.
Well, you teach your class, and then we'll...
Yeah, everybody get out of the screen. We're hiding from the
You don't know? Okay. Okay, yeah, so she cleaned the outside. It smells wonderful like thieves right now. So I think she might have went a little overboard, but it's okay. It's super clean and it smells good. Okay, we're going to go with that.
Aww.
I know, she's so cute. Okay, so Creative Time's a little different because I want you to start thinking about a book or a movie that you have read that you might want to do a critique on. That you might want to tell me all of your thoughts and ideas on this book or movie. It's like, whoa, there's too many to choose from. How do we do this?
Is
Ah.
it more of a movie that we do like or we don't like?
Either way, you can. Sometimes it's easier when you don't like something, but that's completely up to you. Do you have any ideas coming to mind right now?
Well, my first thought was A Wrinkle in Time.
Okay.
I like that though. So
Are you thinking about the movie or the book?
I'm not sure because I just watched the movie because I started the book again. So I thought it'd be a good to do both. And now I'm thinking Forgotten Girl because that is my absolute favorite, but I can still find things about it. I love that book. It is a good book. It'd make a good movie too.
How would you critique movies? How would you critique movies?
You do it exactly the same way that we've done the book. So like the body paragraphs being the story sequence. So you're focusing on the characters and the setting and then the plot and conflict and then the resolution. And what we're going to talk about today is the introduction and the conclusion, how we kind of put it all together. So
our next paper be like about a book that we either don't like or like.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Okay. While you guys are thinking for 2 more minutes, I'm going to take Lily to go to the potty.
Okay.
She's kind of demanding today. Okay. I'm sorry.
Try to think of movies that I don't like. So it'd be easy to critique them. There's so many that I can't think of any right now. I don't dislike much, which is a weird. Really? I like movies better than books, honestly. Honestly, I like the books. I think the books are always better than the movie parodies of them. Forgotten Girl is my favorite book, and it's like a ghost story. It's very, very good. What is it called?
It's called The Forgotten Girl. It's a good book. It's a like ghost story, but like there's also like it was like I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. I'm really tired.
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna be in IEW class in this co-op anymore. This is a good class.
Yeah.
All my work for the last 2 weeks was not. Miss Erin was not receiving it, so that's
Yeah.
kind of.
That is.
Okay, so you have some amazing ideas flowing on this?
No.
No.
Actually,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Well, you don't have to worry about it this week, but I do want you thinking because next week you will start on that. So I just want you guys thinking sometimes as you're getting ideas, of course it might change, but the beauty of this is that you don't have to write it this week. We're going to be doing the introduction and conclusion on Little Mermaid because I know everybody loved that one so stinking much. You're going to want to write 1,000,000 papers on it.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good.
But now it becomes a little bit more like personal, like what you've read, things that you like, or things that you're absolutely like, no, there's no way. I hated that. I don't think anyone should ever read it or watch it. So we have some pretty strong, I want you to think of strong beliefs you have, like it's a love or it's a love, not in something that you've read or watched. That was kind of like, nah, it was okay. I need it oomph. Okay, that's what I want you to figure out. Something that you oomph over.
I figured it out.
You figured it out? Awesome.
My absolutely favorite book so far. I have a few favorite books, but this is one of them. It's Forgotten Girl. And it's part a ghost story, but then it also has like the ghost is from the 60s, and she was one of the first. She was an African American who was integrated into the schools. So she's the Forgotten Girl, and
it sounds really good.
It has a very good aspect and good historical things, and then it has a scary story as well, which is really good.
Awesome. Okay. So as you guys are thinking this week, let me know when you have a decision. It can still be changed because remember, you don't have to worry about this until next Wednesday. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to talk about really making this a critique and taking what you've written now and being like, okay, this is what I mean by it. So if I were just to show you like 3 kind of pictures that go together, you know,
what is that girl?
She's blowing a bubble. Then we have like pictures of like 2 people, you know, a man and a woman, and they're with their hands crossed. We don't get to see their faces. And then we have just the dude's shoes.
Their shoes belong to the guy, and he's super short with super.
Yes, that's it. He has really, really, really short legs. But so when we look at 3 pictures like this, we kind of get that they go together, but we don't understand how they go together yet. And remember, I will send you pictures of the slides so you don't feel like you have to scribble down everything. So what the introduction and the conclusion are going to do, we're going to take these 3 paragraphs of why are you just telling me a story, and now we're going to tell people why we're telling them a story. So our introduction, but bam, as always, we need a hook, right? We need something that's going to hook you in. Draw in the reader. You know, it's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. So we need a hook. And then we're going to share the title of our story, the publisher, if we feel like that's necessary, or a source or anything like that. It can simply just be the title of the story. And I see. I know. I'm going to show you how we can do that. Then we get to talk about, is there like the type of story it is. So like the genre. We might in this part put any type of background information about that type of genre. We can give illustrations. So that's not like, oh, hey, did someone paint a picture in the book? No, like we're giving examples. I guess examples might be a better word to put in there. So we're giving examples of that type of genre in that time period. Examples. And then we get to give some information about our author and the background of our author. So this can also be extended into another sentence as well, because we don't just want 4 sentences for our introductions. So we can give a couple of pieces of information, or you can make this sentence about what do you feel like the purpose of the author was in writing this. This is where you get to say what you think. We're turning an opinion into a
Statement.
You guys remember?
It sounds, it's like a statement.
Yes, a statement or a fact. So we're turning our opinion into a fact because you're like, yeah, this is what it is. I'm all knowing. I know everything. Listen to my ideas. In essence, that's kind of what we're trying to say. Let me know when you guys have this down if you're writing.
Yeah.
I rely on the pictures.
Okay. So now, before we get into our conclusion and what goes into the conclusion and how we're gonna write our introduction and conclusion, have something, I don't know, a game, I guess. Not really a game, but I want your ideas. Can you say it without the word I? I hate hamburgers. I think the channel Freeform is awful. I believe Smallville is one of the best shows ever. So those are my opinions. Or somebody's opinions. How can we turn this person's opinion into a fact?
Hamburgers are awful.
Hamburgers are awful, right? Yes.
The channel Freeform is awful. Smallville is one of the best shows ever.
Okay, we can simply make quick statements like this. But now let's say we want to build on those statements. Like we're talking about, like we're giving some meaning and purpose behind these statements. Okay, so could I write a whole paper on hamburgers are made by the hands of a murderer? Now, I'm going very extreme, I know that. And I actually enjoy hamburgers from time to time. So I want you guys thinking. So you could say hamburgers are bad, hamburgers are awful, but we could say hamburgers are made by the hands of a murderer. Because then I can tell you what happens. I can tell you the story and how hamburgers are made. Right? And then Freeform needs to reevaluate their stance on many topics and truly discover the impact their shows have on a younger generation. So now I'm not just like Freeform is awful or Freeform is bad. I'm telling you why they're bad, why they're awful, because they need to reevaluate their stance on the things that they're sharing. And then the Smallville, being one of the best shows ever, Smallville shows family values, presents ideas on making better decisions, and shows the sacrifices heroes truly make. So, Smallville is about Superman, like as a teenager.
Oh, I remember Smallville. Okay, my father watched that with my brother, and I watched like half an episode with them.
It's a good show. I always like their music. They always wrap up with a good song. I don't know, just one of those things. But and I can tell you why something, so you're building on something. We're not just, Smallville is the best. I'm telling you why it is the best. I'm making my opinion become a fact. So the Little Mermaid is, if you thought it was disastrous, The Little Mermaid is a disastrous story of what happened in Little Mermaid.
When love corrupts the mind.
There we go. Or, Little Mermaid shows the sacrifices family is willing to go through when you don't make the best decisions, or to cheer you along the way, or to help you in situations, because the sisters do. So let's think about a little bit of what happened in the Little Mermaid and what you feel about it. If you feel like it was amazing, the Little Mermaid is an adventure on taking chances in your life, because she took a chance. So we can think about other things besides just what happened. Why did it happen? How did it make you feel? Is it something you want to read again? Is it something you feel everybody else should read? So which then takes us into the conclusion. So the conclusion is we get to say, is it good? Is it bad? Did I like it? Did I dislike it? Why did I like it or dislike it? We can add this idea of a character. Did a character change over time? Should the character have changed or made a different decision? Does the story have a lesson or a theme? And that one's not always a necessity, because not all stories have a lesson or a theme. And then we can close it out with, what is the effect of the book on the reader? Can we be inspired by this? Can we be changed? Can we, think about something else? So the Little Mermaid shows the importance of loving your siblings, standing beside your siblings, or swimming beside your siblings.
So do we have to follow like the sequence, or do we just have to have like a little bit of everything in there?
Well, the 3 body paragraphs are your story sequence, and then the intro but are you asking, do you have to go this order for your introduction and conclusion? No. Okay. As long as this information is in there.
Okay.
Really, it comes down to what flows easiest for you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like in the introduction, you might want to talk about the author and the title in the same sentence. Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid was impactful or has a lasting impression, is a timeless story Disney has used, something along that line, to kind of tie it together.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to do a KWO, just sample. Remember, you can completely make it your own, or you can follow this one. Okay, you guys ready for the KWO?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so our introduction, this is where I did not mean to do that. This is our hook. How can we hook people in? Give me some examples.
Is this for the Little Mermaid?
Yeah, it's for the Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid is a timeless story something.
Okay, so if we think of like what we can do for a hook, can we use a quote? We can use a question. Remember these things? Quote, question. 3 short sentences. We can use the ever dreaded in an English teacher's mind, a fragment. Like 3 fragments close together. I want that. We can give a command. Think about giving up your family in order to chase your dreams. Or a question, what would you give up in order to chase your dreams? You could use a quote about dreams or about family. Then we get into, okay. So we can talk about the Little Mermaid, and you can spell it out if you want, or we can just, the Little Mermaid. I'm going to do abbreviation just for sake of me talking and typing at the same time. So the Little Mermaid is a descriptive or detailed story fairy tale. Hans Christian Andersen, hey HCA, wrote 168 stories in his time for children. Some might say they're not all for children. You know, we can elaborate on that. And I'm going to share some information with you about his life, but you could talk about his life and his childhood, and he traveled. We can talk about when he lived and wrote was the mid-19th century. What was happening during the mid-1800s? Anybody have any clues about the 1800s? History is not a fan for you guys. Are not fans of history? No. Maybe a little. No.
Yeah.
I always like history when it has to do with literature. That's my thing. Like, how is history impacting the literature that I'm reading? Okay. I'm going to share a little bit of information about Hans Christian Andersen. He's a native of Denmark, and he's considered to be an immortal in the world of literature. Fairy tales he wrote were like no other before or since. He wrote things called Steadfast Tin Soldier, The Snow Queen, The Swineherd, and The Nightingale. These are stories that have been translated into almost every language. That's pretty cool. So, you know, some other examples of the introduction could be talking about things about him. And, you know, we keep number 1 the same, giving you guys some examples. And then you could talk about some examples of things he wrote. So he wrote, I think The Swineherd is interesting. He wrote 168 stories, including The Swineherd. And that's been translated into almost every language. So all over the world, people know what it means to be an ugly duckling. Andersen's story of the swan who came from among the ducks is a story in which every person recognizes something about himself or herself. So that's really interesting to see that he wrote thinking about how people could relate. So he writes relate. or to get us to relate to what he's writing about. On the island of Fyn, off the coastline of Denmark, stands a bleak, windswept fishing village called Odense. Here, in a one-room house on April 2nd, 1805, Hans Christian Andersen was born. During the early years of his childhood, his grandmother told him old Danish folk tales and legends. He acted them out using handmade puppets. When Hans Christian Andersen was 11, his father died. The boy was virtually alone because his mother and grandmother were always working hard. He went to school only in intervals and spent most of his time imagining stories rather than reading lessons. He could memorize very easily and learn some of his lessons by listening to a neighborhood boy who was in the habit of studying out loud. He memorized and recited plays to anyone who would listen. He frequently visited the theater in Odense and startled his mother by imitating everything he saw or heard. Ballet dancers, acrobats, pantomimists. To put an end to this, his mother apprenticed him to a weaver, then to somebody who raised tobacco, and finally a tailor. Hans Christian knew these occupations were not for him. The only things that would hold his interest were theater and books and stories. When he was 14, he decided to go to Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark, and seek his fortune. So already we see that, what does his life say about him?
He kind of had a hard life.
He did have a hard life.
No one really paid attention to him necessarily.
Right? So does he write stories that we can relate to? Because he's crying. Does he write stories he can relate to because that's how he connected? No one paid attention to him. I mean, they didn't understand him. So we can say he was not understood because not understood.
Okay. I blinked out for 1 second.
You blanked out for a second?
Yeah.
No! Are you back with us?
Yeah, but I'm kind of, wait. There's like a mini paragraph or mini KWO.
Yes, that's like I'm showing you other ways we can take this.
Oh,
So
okay.
if we keep number one the same, then we can talk about Hans Christian Andersen wrote 168 stories, including the swineherd. His stories have been translated into almost every language imaginable. So cool. The way he writes is so that we can relate to his story, because he himself was not understood as a child.
Okay.
Wait, so we can pick from either one?
You can pick whatever, yes, either one. Or bits and pieces. You can create a fused KWO if you want to.
What does TLM stand for?
The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. What we're writing about, Macy. Woohoo!
I feel
Woohoo! You got it. You got it. Everyone needs to get up and dance.
No. Sorry.
Nevaeh did it. Get up and dance. Yeah. Okay. So now a little bit more about him. A printer in Odense who published the handbill for the theater had given Hans Christian a letter of introduction to a dancer. The boy presented himself to her and sang and danced in his stocking feet before her astonished guests. They laughed at his absurd manner and brash behavior. There followed 3 bitter years of poverty. Hans Christian earned a little money singing in a boys' choir until his voice changed. He tried to act, he tried to join the ballet, but his awkwardness made these careers impossible. He attempted to work with his hands, but could not do this either. It never occurred to him to return home and admit defeat. At last, when 17, Andersen came to the attention of Chancellor Jonas Collin, a director at the Royal Theatre. Collin read a play by Andersen and saw that the youth had talent, though he lacked education. So we see from there, this is where he gets his start. So his bio kind of like goes on to now. He's got his start. Somebody believes in him. Woo! He's got a cheerleader. but realizes that he needs some education to go behind his talent, and gives that to him and allows him this opportunity. So finally, after years of feeling like the ugly duckling, which is a story he wrote, after years, it's finally accepted and becomes the swan. So we can think about, did the Little Mermaid, did she want to be accepted? Who did she want to be accepted by?
The prince?
By the prince. And I'm going to write love, but draw a heart, because I can't draw a heart here. So the Little Mermaid desired to be accepted or to be loved by the prince, which is very similar to Hans Christian Andersen's life. So this is where we're kind of pulling it together. This is where we're understanding now why we're going to tell the story about the Little Mermaid. We've told a little bit about Hans Christian Andersen. We've mentioned that the Little Mermaid is a very descriptive or detailed fairy tale. And now we've introduced the story. What should people expect now from your 3 paragraphs? Are they going to understand? Are they going to expect that it's going to be a story about a girl chasing her heart to be accepted by a prince? If you did this way, then yes. But it's completely up to you what you want to put there. As you guys are thinking about this story and you're doing your KWOs, let me know if you need help with this. We can talk it through. We can talk about what you feel like your thoughts are. Okay? Because we need to move on to dun dun dun, the conclusion. So we've given our introduction, you told your story so beautifully. Now it's time for the conclusion. Are we ready for the conclusion?
Yeah.
Yes, we're ready to wrap this up. Let me go back to my page in my notes.
Oh, there's a lot of more slides. I like slides.
There's a whole bunch of slides, but that's only if we get to there. That's extra stuff. That's fun stuff.
Oh, I want to get to the fun stuff.
You want to get to the fun stuff. This is fun too, Macy. Come on.
Don't say that. You put the word. No.
This is fun stuff too. Okay. This is exciting. This is an adventure. Okay. So let's go back to how Hans Christian Andersen talked. When we think about the conclusion, let's see here. Okay. So how did he write?
He wrote with like kind of not happy endings.
Okay. So not happy endings. He wrote with so we use descriptive there. So we're going to use detailed here. Detailed language, right? He's very detailed, and sharing his story and his characters. He uses things. So let's think about things he used. He likes to use a lot of similes and adjectives, and sometimes excessively overshares.
Overshares. Like, oh yeah, never mind. I understand.
Like he uses too many words to tell what he could have said in like 5. Like some people are just like that. They use extra words.
Oh, I thought you meant the other parts of the story.
Okay, so then we can talk about, this is where, so you're still kind of giving your opinion, only if you think he overshared. You don't have to put that in there. But then we can talk about his tragic endings, right? Do we feel like this ending is tragic?
Yeah.
Yes?
Kind of has a happy ending though.
Some people might think it's more realistic. So you could say some might find his endings to be very tragic. Others may find his endings to be more realistic. So when we think about a tragic ending, it's like a loss of innocence. If we think that it's more realistic, then maybe we shouldn't put like a romantic idea on love. What we can learn. And I'm going to do some other words over here in case the innocence and romantic love don't, like, you guys aren't feeling that one. Okay. So over here, we can also say something about, it feels almost like as if evil wins.
Well, her story wasn't the happy ending. She still got what she actually wanted, which was a human.
Yeah, her story, we can talk about the sacrifice of the sisters. If you want to, and others might think that it's more of the realistic ending, that we should not put all of our hopes and dreams in the idea of romantic love. But it's also then the idea that sometimes there are consequences to, oh my goodness, typing, to our choices. And I'm typing this. Okay. So then you could talk about why did you like this? Should somebody read this story? What could have somebody learned from this story? Would you recommend this story to somebody else? Who might recommend it to somebody else?
I would.
You would?
Yeah.
And why would you recommend it to somebody else?
Because I think it's a good story, even though it doesn't have a happy ending. It's very, I agree with you on the overshares part, but when he doesn't go into oversharing, the details he gives really make the story. You can, what he sees vividly.
So I think even though it hasn't had the happiest ending, I think many of us would recommend it, just because there's maybe something we can learn from it. Because Hans Christian Andersen, remember, how did he write his stories? So we could relate to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is it something we can read, because we can find something, everybody can find something they can relate to.
Mommy.
And then whatever you feel like you related to this story.
Mommy. Daddy being
Okay.
Daddy.
Okay, let me finish. Okay, I'm almost done. Who's excited to write this?
Me.
Me. Who's now thinking about what their next one is going to be about? Their last paper of the year for IEW, their next one.
Yay!
What book or movie? So when we think about this, I am hoping that this inspires you to think about what you would do next. Like, what movie has touched your heart in a way, or has gotten you angry, or been like, oh, I got to make a change. Something like that. I'm hoping that writing this one is going to inspire you in picking something amazing for next time. Okay. Remember, I'm going to share these slides with you. So if you didn't get everything down, that's completely okay. Are you guys ready for some misplaced modifiers?
So what?
Misplaced modifiers. When we put things in the wrong place, We have to sometimes, and you guys haven't done this, but I think they're fun. So I thought that you guys might think they're fun. Okay, so a misplaced modifier, in my opinion, would confuse even Albert Einstein. Okay, how many times have you read something and they put a preposition in the wrong spot? Or they put an adjective in the wrong, like to describe the wrong noun?
I've seen weird sentences that I have to read like 5 times to understand.
Yeah, well, sometimes they put things in the wrong place, like this one. Hanging in the art gallery, my friend was delighted by the painting. So look at our picture, and it goes along with what our sentence says. So how can we fix our sentence? Because from this, hanging, we know a correct number for ing, the subject has to be doing the ing. So hanging in the art gallery, my friend was delighted by the painting. So that looks like the girl's friend is hanging in the art gallery. Ooh, she's swinging from the ceiling. Yeah. Does anyone want to go hang in the art gallery?
No.
So how can we fix this? Because what is supposed to be hanging in the art gallery?
The art.
The art, yes. So my friend was delighted by the picture hanging in the art gallery. Right? Or hanging in the art gallery, the painting delighted my friend. Makes so much better sense, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now this one. Diego found a tiny tree taking a walk in the park. So the tiny tree is taking a walk in the park. Right? According to this sentence, it goes along with our picture. Have you ever seen a tiny tree taking a walk?
No.
No. Who's actually taking the walk?
Diego.
Diego. So taking a walk in the park, Diego found a tiny tree. Oh my goodness, so much better. Okay, this one, Sarah wore her favorite dress to the beach, which unfortunately got splashed with juice. So what just got splashed with juice?
Her dress.
Well, that's what we assume it to be, but where's our who which?
After
Sarah wore her favorite dress to the beach, which unfortunately got splashed with juice.
Sounds like the beach is getting splashed.
Yes, it's right after beach. So it's like the beach is getting splashed with juice. So we can say Sarah wore her favorite dress, which unfortunately got splashed with juice to the beach.
At the beach.
Right? Crazy. But we all kind of knew what that one was. That one wasn't super bad. This one is funny. We saw a lighthouse shining from the boat deck. So the lighthouse is actually on the boat. The lighthouse is shining from the boat. So how do we make this correct?
From
the boat deck, we saw a lighthouse shining.
Awesome. From the boat deck, we saw the lighthouse shining. Okay, sleeping peacefully, the mother carried the boy up to his bed for the night. So the mother is sleeping peacefully. Wow, she is magic. I'm just saying. She's sleeping peacefully while she's carrying the boy up to bed. The boy looks very scared. He's like,
Boy's the mother. Stop. Wake up.
Wake up, mama. Wake up. So how do we fix this sentence?
The mother carried the boy who was sleeping peacefully up to his bed for the night.
Awesome. Yes. So we need to make sure that we know it's the baby or the boy who is sleeping peacefully, not the mama. Not the mama. Okay. After eating all their food, we took the dogs for a walk.
Oh no!
So we ate the dog food. After eating all their food, we took the dogs for a walk. Who actually ate all their food?
The dog.
The dogs, right? Okay, so we took the dogs for a walk after they ate all their food.
You guys see my notes, or is it just like a personal?
Hmm?
When you make notes on the screen, does everybody see them, or is it just?
Yes, everyone sees them.
Mm.
Okay, on his way to school, a lizard passed Lee on the path.
Why does Lisa look so mad about it?
He's freaked out about it because the lizard is on his way to school. Look at that. He's on the path to school. On his way to school, a lizard passed Lee on the path.
How about Lee passed a lizard on the path?
There we go. Woo! We're getting there. Okay. Being thoroughly labeled, Janice put the supplies away correctly. So Janice needs to know that this is her hair, and this is her arm, and this is her shoulder, and this is her wrist, and where her shoes are, and her skirt, and her hand.
She's a little bit scrambled today.
She is.
So the stress work got to her.
I think so. She labeled the wrong things. What should be thoroughly labeled?
The items.
The items, the supplies. So Janice put away the thoroughly labeled supplies. I mean, let's make sure we put the right description next to the right noun. Sometimes we put our modifiers in the wrong place. Not so much when it's just a standard quality adjective, but more so when it is in a prepositional phrase or ing. We have to remember those stinky little pesty number 4s that we tend to forget that the subject is supposed to be doing the ing. Okay, sticking to the side of the aquarium, Joey counted 6 suckerfish. So Joey is sticking to the side of the aquarium, right?
I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6.
6. Okay. Who's actually sticking to the side of the aquarium? The fish. So how do we fix this sentence?
Joey counted 6 fish to the side of the aquarium.
Awesome. Okay, this one would be lots of fun. Colorfully sprinkled, the children devoured the freshly baked cupcakes.
Oh, what does these have?
So the children have been colorfully sprinkled. That sounds like lots of fun to me, and I wish we had class like in person, and we would go outside and we would be colorfully sprinkled. But what in fact should be colorfully sprinkled?
The cupcakes.
The cupcakes, yes. So the children devoured the colorfully sprinkled, freshly baked cupcakes. Okay, this one's interesting. Winning 3rd place in the dog show, I gave my Chihuahua a special treat. It's an ing opener, right? So who's doing the winning?
Chihuahua.
Dog.
The dog should be doing the winning.
Like, zoom in on that Chihuahua. It has no whites in its eyes. It looks possessed.
It doesn't even look like a Chihuahua to me. It looks more like a wiener dog or something, like the dot said.
Yeah.
Who in first place?
I don't know. A
His
beagle?
front paws are like this instead of this.
But winning 3rd place in the dog show, I gave my Chihuahua a special treat. So that sounds like I won 3rd place in the dog show. Did he win 3rd place in the dog show?
Human well.
Don't know how bad the other dogs were if the guy wins 3rd place in the dog show. Okay, so how do we fix this sentence to make sure that the Chihuahua's winning?
Winning 3rd place in the dog show. I was given a special treat.
Exactly. We want to make sure that we know it's the Chihuahua that's doing the ing. Ooh, we saw lions, giraffes, and zebras enjoying the safari. So lions and giraffes and zebras were the ones enjoying the safari. How do we fix this one?
The zebra's like, oh, hey, look, I see my cousin there.
Right? Yes. How do we fix this one?
In the safari, we saw lions, giraffes, and zebras.
Amazing. Okay, this one's interesting. Jillian spied a giant bird walking into the store. So the bird is now walking into the store.
I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
Would you go into the store after that giant bird?
No.
No.
He'd probably like in the store like bird poop.
Please don't fly over my car. Okay, walking into the store, Jillian spied a giant bird. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yes. Okay. Well buttered, I handed the piece of toast to my mother. Who's well buttered?
I'm laughing at her.
So the girl is well buttered, right? Well buttered. I handed a piece of toast to my mother. What should be well buttered?
Toast.
The toast. So I handed the piece of well buttered toast to my mother. No, and we should not say I handed the piece of toast to my mother well buttered, right? Because then who's well buttered?
The mom.
The mom. I don't think mom would appreciate that one too much.
I handed the piece of toast to my mother.
Okay. The caring grandmother passed out sandwiches to all the kids in paper sacks. This makes it sound like every kid is sitting in a paper bag right now.
Oh, you don't like that.
And again, if we were in class in person, I would give you guys a paper bag to sit in. We'd see how well this works. So what should actually be in the paper sacks?
The sandwiches.
Sandwiches. So how do we fix it?
I don't know. This is weird.
So the caring grandmother passed out sandwiches in paper sacks to all the kids. So we just put the prepositional phrase in the wrong spot. Okay. Joe fled from the Snarling Dog riding a bike. So the Snarling Dog is doing the bike riding.
Wow, that's a very talented dog.
It is very talented. It snarls and it rides a bike.
Circus dog. He tried to enter the circus the back way for free.
Yep. So how do we fix this? Joe
Riding a bike. Joe fled from the Snarling Dog.
There we go. Okay, time for one more. Setting nearby brushwood on fire, a park ranger confronted the clumsy camper. So who is setting the brush fire?
The park ranger's like, hey, you said that wrong while he's burning a bush.
Pretty much. So what should we say? We can keep this we can change this a couple of different ways.
Setting nearby brushwood on fire, the clumsy camper was confronted by the park ranger.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. You can always you can say a park ranger confronted the clumsy camper who was setting nearby brushwood on fire. So you can say that either way.
They're really good.
These are amazing. Aren't these fun?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you drew them.
Oh, I have no idea. Not me. I have no idea who drew these. I had found them and thought that they were fun and that it would just be like after all that information that you just absorbed, it's kind of a way to give your brain like a little bit of fun and a little break, a little adventure, exciting time. But I am very serious about as you're working on your KWOs, If you're gonna fuse any or add all your own stuff, to feel free to send those over. And as you're working on your paragraphs, you have two, the introduction and the conclusion, to send those over. Or if you have any questions, just I can set aside time to chat if we need to talk through some things, because this is really about now your ideas on the story. It's not just the storytelling, it's your ideas on the story that you're putting through, and not as an opinion. You will not use the word I or you. You will make sure that it's coming across as a fact, that you are the most brilliant person in the world, and you're like, listen to me now. That is you at this point. Take on that confidence. You are writing literature expert, and everyone is going to stop and listen to you or read what you have to say. Oh, time. I ran out of time. I wanted you guys to share your stories. Bring your stories next week. We'll do it first.
Miss Erin, we can log off the Zoom and join back on the same Zoom call.
Well, if everybody has time, I don't know if everyone has time to stay, or we can just make sure we do it first next week.
I have time to stay. Some people might not.
What do you guys thought?
We have Spanish.
Spanish class.
Oh, that's right. You guys have Spanish. Okay. So first, we'll do it first next week. So make sure you bring your paper, any of your fables that you want to share. I'm hoping for some Uncle Remus styles to be talking about up here next week. Okay, you guys.
Thank you.
Go have fun in Espanol class.
Yay.
Bye, you guys.
Adios.
Adios, amigos.